Welcome back to my channel Knowledge Chronicle.
Today we're cutting through the nonsense and breaking down the real science of human sexual desire. No myths, no romantic fluff, just biology, hormones, and what actually happens inside your body. We'll cover three major areas. First, how hormones control your libido. Second, what really happens during an orgasm. And third, why sexual desire changes across the menstrual cycle. So, let's get straight into the physiology. Hormones and libido. Who controls what? If you think sexual desire is mental only, you're fooling yourself. Desire is a biochemical event, driven mainly by four hormones. First up, testosterone. People assume testosterone is a male hormone, but that's half knowledge. Both men and women need testosterone. Higher levels mean a stronger libido. Lower levels mean reduced interest, weaker arousal, and slower sexual response. For example, a man with low testosterone feels tired, less motivated, and his sexual thoughts drop drastically. A woman with slightly higher than usual testosterone may feel more easily aroused and more sensitive to touch. Testosterone is basically the fuel of sexual drive. Next, estrogen. This is the hormone most active in women. When estrogen rises, vaginal lubrication increases, blood flow improves, and sexual desire naturally rises. When estrogen drops, like just before periods or after menopause, libido usually drops sharply. Now, progesterone. Here's a truth most people don't know. Progesterone is a libido killer. High progesterone levels make the brain calmer, slower, and less sexually responsive. Women often feel less interested in sex during the high progesterone phase of their cycle. And finally, dopamine and oxytocin. Dopamine triggers sexual motivation. Oxytocin strengthens emotional bonding, making the sexual experience more intense. If dopamine is the go, oxytocin is the connection. Without dopamine, you don't feel the spark. Without oxytocin, you don't feel the closeness. The science behind orgasms, what actually happens inside you. An orgasm is not a single event, it's a full-body neurochemical chain reaction. Here's what actually happens. First, the arousal phase. Blood vessels in the genital area open wide. Men experience erection, women experience lubrication and increased sensitivity. Heart rate and blood pressure start rising. Your brain reduces activity in the amygdala, the fear center, which is why sexual arousal feels relaxing and freeing. Next, the plateau phase. Breathing becomes fast. Muscle tension increases. Nerves fire signals at extremely high speed. Your brain releases dopamine heavily here. Then, the orgasm phase. This is the peak. A series of rapid muscle contractions happen. Men release semen. Women experience rhythmic contractions in the uterus and pelvic muscles. The brain releases oxytocin and endorphins in large amounts. Oxytocin produces bonding and emotional closeness. Endorphins produce a deep sense of pleasure and calm. Fun fact, during orgasm, the brain shuts down parts of the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for logic. That's why orgasm is the only time the brain lets go completely. Finally, the resolution phase. Men enter a refractory period, a biologically mandatory reset time. Women have a shorter or almost zero refractory period, which is why multiple orgasms are physiologically possible for them. This entire cycle is a neuroscience phenomenon, not just a physical one. Alright, so let's talk about what science actually says about the menstrual cycle and sexual desire. Women's libido is not constant. It actually changes pretty predictably across the menstrual cycle, thanks to the rise and fall of hormones like estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Let's try to simplify the entire cycle. First, days 1 to 5. This is the menstruation phase. Both estrogen and progesterone are low, Energy is usually low too, and sexual desire is generally reduced. But interestingly, some women might feel more desire during this time because endorphins rise to help with pain relief. Biology can really vary from person to person. Next, days 6 to 13. This is the pre-ovulation or follicular phase. Estrogen shoots up, testosterone rises, mood improves, and energy increases. This is actually the phase, scientifically speaking, when women tend to feel the strongest sexual desire. Vaginal lubrication and sensitivity are also at their highest. Then, days 14 to 16, ovulation. This is the peak fertility window. Evolution is definitely at work here. Sexual desire spikes because the body is biologically prepared for reproduction. Women naturally feel more attractive, confident, and aroused during this time. Studies have shown that women fantasize more and respond faster to sexual cues during ovulation. After that, days 17 to 28, the luteal phase, which is dominated by progesterone. Progesterone increases heavily, and this suppresses libido. Women might feel bloated, moody, or even emotionally distant, and desire usually drops. Right before periods, both estrogen and progesterone drop, and this hormonal crash can make libido really low. So, the pattern is pretty simple. Estrogen and testosterone increase sexual desire, while progesterone decreases it. This whole hormonal dance influences mood, attraction, sensitivity, and overall sexual energy. Human sexual desire isn't just random. It's actually the direct result of hormonal chemistry, neurological signals, and evolutionary biology. Testosterone fuels libido. Estrogen sharpens desire. Progesterone slows things down. Dopamine gives us motivation, and oxytocin adds emotional intensity. Orgasms release neurotransmitters that, honestly, completely change your brain state. And the menstrual cycle causes those predictable shifts in desire. Once you understand this, sexual health feels less like a mystery and more like a science. If you want more scientifically accurate content without any sugarcoating, just stay with this channel. Your one like, share, and subscribe will really help us create even more valuable content. Thanks for being here.